Cullen live in 1 minute. Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com. Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com.
What? What was that? Chris Potter is here making strange noises. It's Wednesday. It's the 7th.
It is.
Of the 8th month.
Of the dawning of the age of Aquarius.
All right. It's not an auspicious beginning.
No, let's just turn it off and start again. Put on the music.
No, that's okay. That's okay. Let's forge ahead. I've had some lousy shows this week. I've been expecting you to pick things
God.
up. You know, you sort of go into that can be your best shows.
Yeah.
I know. You sort of prodded on by the banging in your head. Seriously. Reader's Digest. I don't suspect you.
No.
Well, this came to my door.
I'm not a 70-year-old who spends a lot of time in the bathroom, so.
Everyone is sick of this because it came to my door. I mean, in my mail.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but I got into it.
Okay.
Okay, so there's a little quiz in here, and I'm going to ask you one question because this one blew me away, and so far nobody's gotten it right.
Okay. I'm ready.
Close, I think. I had 3 out of 4, right?
Okay.
Which 4 states were sovereign countries before joining the United States?
California?
1.
Texas?
2.
Sovereign countries, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Before joining the United States.
That's right. Who knew? You got
Oregon?
No.
No. Alaska?
No.
What were they? What are the other 2?
Are you giving up that easy?
Yeah, I have a headache.
Stop and think of Alaska. You were onto something. Think of another.
Oh, Hawaii.
Yeah. Was monarchy.
Yeah, right, of course.
Right.
That was dumb. I should have thought
Yeah, that
Hawaii.
was dumb.
Yeah.
So those are the 3 I got. But then the 4th is a real outlier.
Rhode Island.
Close. Vermont. Did you know it was a sovereign country?
No.
Well,
when was that?
I don't know. Before 17 something or other. I don't know. Or
17 something.
I don't know.
Yeah, I should have known Hawaii.
That's really odd.
I definitely should have known Hawaii, but I never would have gotten it.
No, I never heard of such a thing. I have to keep repeating it because otherwise I'm going to I want to look more into it.
Were there any funny stories in Humor in Uniform?
You know what? There are funny
Do they still have that
I don't
feature?
know if they have humor in uniform. I never got beyond the stupid quiz, but they have funny, cute little.
I didn't know that thing
there.
still even existed.
It exists.
It probably came to you because you're in their demo now. You're getting on. And,
I'm not 70. You said 70.
No, I'm just saying. Mm-hmm. My grandparents did used to have that.
Well, yeah. Wasn't that was that Annenberg who had Reader's Digest? I think so too. I think where his gazillions may have come from in large part. Okay. We were speaking of animal names. I was saying that I never. Oh no! This is a mistake.
Let's never discuss that again. It's a gif of a
Joseph.
Cat.
A punching cat. Yeah. It's a very, what?
Just go away.
What did she say?
She wants us to know it's pronounced Jif, like the peanut butter.
What's pronounced Jif?
Never mind. Just.
Oh, see, this is going to be another terrible
here we go.
show.
All right, come on. Let's pull it together. Let's rally.
What?
Let's rally.
Okay, but I hate that when there's some intercourse between other people in the room, and I don't understand.
You grew up in the
anything
60s. You ought to be used to that. You went to college.
Are you saying something that's GIF is
Should be
pronounced GIF?
Yeah, I'm sure she's right about that.
God almighty. Okay.
All right.
So, local. Let's start local here.
Okay.
All right?
I'm ready.
There's things happening.
There are.
All right. What? No,
Well,
wait. Well, let's revisit the court situation. No?
The court situation.
The court-
You're going to have to be a little more specific than that. Oh, the thing that happened in the court.
Something happened in a courtroom. A guy named Bedway.
Yes. Oh, right. Yeah.
And he has now alleged that our former police chief, Nate Harper,
Yeah.
was really the mastermind.
The mastermind of the whole.
Whatever. I don't know.
Well, it was a contract essentially to give work to a company that Mr. Bedway owned to
and
retrofit police cars with radio.
Feed Harper and another officer who needed money, or an employee
and
some money.
Yeah, and his argument in court was that Harper had been sort of the mastermind of this whole thing, making it happen.
You know
These
what's
guys were
funny is there was because they have been said in every headline and every sentence written about them for the last year. Ex-friend is how it's been.
Yeah.
It's like Nate Harper's ex-friend.
Right.
Well, what was funny is there was a tweet yesterday that said, Harper friend Bedway. No, Bedway. I don't know what they said. They said ex. They didn't say ex-friend.
Oh.
They called him his friend because they had another ex before police chief Nate Harper.
Oh, I see.
And I think they thought, I can't have that many exes. I can't have the ex-friend of ex-police chief.
Yeah.
But they should have, because all of a sudden now I was thinking if Harper saw that tweet, he'd say, now he's my friend.
Now he's my friend, yeah.
He's my friend again? What is this?
Yeah.
Jeez. So I would assume their friendship went down over...
Right around the time the indictments started coming down.
Right.
Yeah, that'll put a strain on your Thursday night poker game. That
Okay.
is for sure.
So that's not a biggie, huh?
Well, I mean, potentially. We should say that Harper's own attorneys denied Mr. Bedway's characterization of how things worked out. So we'll see. I mean, it's been obvious, this is, I think it was pretty clear that at some point he was going to plead guilty, and it kept getting pushed back. And the theory is that he's been talking to the feds about building cases. Bedway, has been talking to feds about cases that could be built against other officials. So
man, those feds, they're trying. What are they trying to do? What are they doing? Do you think there's something else they could be doing that might be a better use of their time?
Well, the one thing I would say, I mean, that was sort of interesting is that Marty Dietz, who's Mr. Bedway's attorney, said that all this other stuff that the feds are looking into was sort of isolated from his situation. So now I don't know that, a lot of this stuff is about what happens in a grand jury room and what gets discussed in talks and things like that. So you don't really know exactly how he knows that. But clearly, I mean, we've seen in the paper recently that Debbie Lestitian, a former board member of the Sports and Exhibition Authority, has been called before a grand jury. Social/personal friends of the mayor have been called before it. So I mean, it's you got to think they got to have something percolating.
I mean, it just seems if you ever had any exposure whatsoever to Luke Ravenstahl in the last 10 years, you're likely to get a subpoena to appear before the grand jury.
Imagine being like the city employee who hasn't gotten called. First of all, you probably feel left out.
Sure you do.
Like, man, all this stuff was going on right behind my back, and I
didn't know.
And then, too, you're probably covering all the desk work for the people, who have been called down there. Can you just cover the phone? I'll be gone for 4 to 6 hours.
What I have heard is that the mayor is still a no-show on Grand Street, pretty much, that he doesn't even bother to show up at the office for more than maybe 2 days a week. Maybe 2 days a week he shows up. Why isn't anything being written about that?
I don't know. I mean, it's hard to, I mean, look, it's not as if... It's not as if that's a new concern of people. That's been going on for a while.
I think people should know.
No, I'm not saying.
I think he should be shamed. I don't think you let him get away with that. I don't.
Well, what do you do about it exactly? There's no. I mean, he's out on his ear in January, no matter what. So you can't have people vote him out of office. The city has an impeachment provision, but it's unconstitutional, so it doesn't work. If I still
worked in TV, I would every day do the same story standing outside his door. I'd make it look like one of those ambush things. Right. I'd knock. Mayor Ravenstahl, are you in there? Lynn Cullen just want to talk to you. Mayor Ravenstahl. And then, you turn and say, nope.
Yeah.
Day 75, the mayor has not shown up. Since then, you have paid the mayor. Yes! I would do that.
Yeah, it reminds me of way back in the day when in Pittsburgh, the weekly I used to work at, they used to have a little feature after the Syria Mosque was torn down, and it was it's been 1,328 days and the Syria Mosque is still a parking lot. I guess you could do that. You could have a little running thing about how much we've paid the mayor, in the past since our last issue or whatever.
I don't think he should be. I mean, I know the feds are after him and blah, blah, blah. I almost felt sorry for him for a little bit, and I don't anymore.
No, I don't think he deserves any.
Absolutely no ability to grow from his experience.
No.
None. If anything, he's regressing. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in a way, for now, he's in this weird little. He's being paid to do thing where he's not on the hook for anything. He hasn't been hooked, and he's not on the hook.
He doesn't show up for anything that his office would need the mayor for.
He has shown up at a couple things, and then what happens is reporters show up and they just ask him questions about the investigation anyway. So I'm sure from his perspective, it's why bother doing this? It's just going to be a.
Then I think he should turn in the paycheck. Yeah.
And then it would be Darlene Harris as our mayor. There would be some.
Well,
imagine you being.
By the way, Darlene has decided not to run.
That's right. It's interesting, actually. You sort of look at. I mean, she has been since. I mean, she's been kicked off of the Democratic committee. She had been the ward chair for the 26th ward, and then she changed her party registration to independent. Right. And hey, here's a funny rule: if you're going to be in the Democratic Party leadership, you have to actually be a member of the Democratic Party. Jeez. So you kind of wonder, what it was all about. It's just this weird sort of, and I've seen this sort of in a couple different ways as somebody who follows local politics. This weird sort of. Almost kind of hysteria from certain quarters about Bill Peduto's win. Kind of fandango of
No, it's not unlike the hysteria about Barack Obama being president.
Right,
it's somebody who they don't know and isn't part of their group, and there's just this, and he takes his job too seriously, and there just seems to be this angst.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
So we'll see. So anyway, he's got. I mean, we should say he does have still. He faces Republican Josh Wander, the Jewish prepper, which is going to be his label whether he wants it or not.
Oh, and I heard
Les Ludwig is.
Les Ludwig. It's so strange you should bring up that name because coming up in the elevator just
minutes
ago, I encountered one of the city paper's crack sales staff.
Yeah.
And he told me that one of the mayoral candidates was going to be running spots on my show.
Indeed.
And I said, who? And he said Lex Luthor. No,
Lex Luthor.
What's his name?
I'd vote for Lex Luthor, maybe.
What was his name?
Les Ludwig.
All right, Les Ludwig.
He's run a few times for different offices.
So he was telling me this guy's an interesting guy, blah 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 blah. But so what's his story? He's just one of the. Usually, if you're somebody who doesn't have a chance of gaining the job, but you throw your hat in the ring, sort of like who am I blanking on the last time around? Henderson.
Yeah. No, Richardson, A.J.
Richardson.
Who I saw on the street the other day.
Oh, really? How's he doing?
He looked good. He was sharp. He was dressed in a suit and ties.
No,
his kid was with him.
Yeah,
his kid was also dressed in a suit and tie.
I love it.
Power structure, watch yourself.
Yeah,
is all I can say.
Okay. So, when somebody does that, invariably they are a character,
yes.
right? You can't,
Yep.
So this Lex Luthor is a character. Les Ludwig is a character.
Right. And he brings with him the powers of Krypton. Yeah, no, he is. He is. There. I'll tell you, none of these
two characters. There are two characters, and one wonk. That are running.
Yeah, none of these guys, though. If you want to talk about characters, in my opinion, none of these guys hold a candle to a guy who ran years and years ago, back in I think it was '97. Richard Mad Dog Caligiuri. Do you remember this?
Oh, yeah.
He claimed affiliation to the famous political family, which the famous political family was quick to deny. But he ran an ad in City Paper, full-page ad, with himself naked and sort of in this kind of fighting pose, kind of turned away.
Yeah.
People who are watching this can't see what I'm doing, but kind of turned away.
Yeah, to
so you
hide
couldn't see his, right, the tools of his office, as it were. And it said, Richard Mad Dog Caligiuri, I will kick your ass, ... philosophically. And I thought,
what?
That's the road not taken for Pittsburgh. Imagine if we'd elected that guy. I wonder where he is now.
Oh, there you go. Well, why don't you look it up?
Or Josh Pollock, for example, who, of course, the 18-year-old who ran in 2005.
Yeah.
I still have one of his campaign buttons. Josh Pollock, uncorrupted by years of experience.
Love it.
You wonder what happens to this, folks, actually.
I think Josh turned out just fine.
Yeah.
I'm not so sure about Caligiuri.
Yeah, Mad Dog. I don't know what happened to him.
So, but whatever. So there's blah, 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 blah. It's the doldrums of August. Why don't all news organizations just take the month off?
Because there's money to be made, baby.
No, there's not. There's no news.
Oh, yeah. No, well. Wait, what? There's money to be made.
Oh, it has nothing to do with
You could do cute little stories of children running through fountains for 20 minutes. And still sell an ad. In fact, it might be easier.
Oh, please. PJ has said this will help your headache, and he has sent Tom Sokolowski's Yoo-Hoo ringtone.
Oh, no. Is this real?
I don't know.
Don't click on it.
I'm not going to. Thank you. I'm not going to click on that. Okay, so speaking of news, what's your take on
Shuffle.
Bezos and the Washington Post?
I wish that guy would give us a call. Honestly.
Yeah, right. I know. Yeah, damn it.
It's interesting. I think as I was coming in today, it was like the first day of it was like, wow, this is a great thing. Everybody was like really excited about it because here's a guy with a lot of money. And the thing about Amazon is
money and vision.
It really doesn't make any money at all. And Bezos has figured out a way to sort of like tell his investors to go pound sand and accept, diminished dividends or whatever, so he can build this growth.
He's become a billionaire while Amazon still doesn't make money. It does now.
Yeah, I think it's pretty close to the break-even point even now, though. So, there's this theory that you need somebody in newspapers because really what's done in the business is people who are looking for a short-term, gain. And, a big part of the problem a lot of papers have is in the 1990s, which was sort of the swan song for the industry. There was a lot of, acquisitions and mergers and all this stuff financed with debt. And now the bills are coming due. And, of course, nobody really has the money to pay them because we're in this, economic slowdown and restructuring of the whole advertising industry. So there's a thought, here's a guy who is in it for the long term. And he said, I don't really know anything about running newspapers, so I'm going to let the people who know how to run newspapers run newspapers.
He also said, and we're going to have to experiment.
Yeah.
Because nobody's figured this out, how to go forward, what to do. So he has obviously is capable of thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
And so maybe somebody who doesn't have the journalistic paradigm in their head might be a good guy to lead the discussion.
The other thing, so that was the initial thing, all that kind of good buzz. What I saw a little this morning is there's a bit more skepticism, and one of the theories that's sort of more intriguing that I came across this morning was
what is politics?
It's more about. I mean, Amazon is obviously pretty successful, but the one thing it doesn't have going for it, it hasn't quite worked out what they call the last mile problem, which is how do you get your goods from like the post office to the person's house. The sort of holy grail for a business like Amazon is essentially like same day delivery of stuff, right? You go on your computer, you order something at 8 o'clock in the morning, it's at your house by the time you come home from work.
Oh, please.
Well, this is the thing. And one of the theories is this a way for Bezos to explore with the fact that newspapers have a built-in distribution system that's all those drivers going out and chucking them on your doorstep every morning? And is he trying to figure out a way to somehow use that as a template or a basis for same-day distribution of other goods other than newspapers?
I was just talking yesterday about how the newspaper's great scheme of getting a newspaper to your door every day is breaking down.
To a large extent, yeah, that's true.
It's absolutely breaking
down. But it still exists,
work.
and I wouldn't be surprised if it still exists, for the Washington Post more than it does for some other publications in other areas. So I don't know whether that's true or not, but I think it's interesting to sort of watch people kind of like, what's this guy really up to?
No, I think I would not ascribe any negative. No.
Yeah, no, I think it's too early. He deserves the benefit of the doubt.
Absolutely. And of all the gazillionaires who could scarf up a major newspaper, he's one that you can probably sleep at night about.
I mean, that's the interesting.
The Koch brothers,
right? I mean, that's the who are also in the market.
They're going after
or
the
Rupert
LA
Murdoch
Times and the Chicago Tribune, and look at Murdoch buying up all these things. I don't know anything about the Boston guy who bought the Globe.
Yeah, no, I think he might be okay. I mean, what's interesting, if you kind of take a historical view, is of course what we've done is come full circle.
Exactly,
newspaper ownerships, the Hearsts and all that,
the Pulitzers.
That was the thing, and then we got into this sort of corporate mode of the Gannett's and the Knight Ritters and all that stuff, and now we're cycling back because the margins simply aren't there.
I agree, and you need these rich people.
Well, and the thing is, they're rich. They're not just rich people. A lot of them are kind of rich eccentrics. Now, you arguably can see that a lot closer to home than the Washington Post.
I would believe you'd be talking about Richard Mellon.
Yeah, Scaife, or even the Block family, who owns the Post Gazette, are sort of interesting characters in their own way. And so that's I think what you're kind of seeing is it's simply. What you're seeing play out is that nobody really knows at this point, at this stage in the industry, with advertising the way it is, nobody knows how to make money the way every other sector is being run.
Did you see the headline? I thought it was such a great headline about this. Iceberg rescues Titanic.
Yes, yeah, I did see that.
Isn't that? I mean, there it is, because the Amazon essentially pulled the rug out from every retail establishment in the world.
And thus much of the advertising base of these papers.
And blew up the advertising industry and blew up the publishing industry and blew up, I'm saying people weren't building little mortar and brick things anymore. So he blew it up. He is a serious revolutionary move this guy made. Now, if he's got a second act, that would be good. Usually people don't.
Right, but what's interesting about this is if you kind of think about it, what's happened, and this would be the sort of more ominous way of looking at this, is his business has essentially decimated a large swath of, and obviously the big losers have been like Barnes and Noble and the big chain.
No, I would argue
retailers.
that the biggest losers are the mom and pop people.
I don't know. If you take a look at Pittsburgh, I mean, what we've lost has been
the bookstores,
Borders and Barnes and Noble. There are a ton of neighborhood bookstores. In fact, there are probably more now than there were 5 years ago.
But it's not just books. I mean, it's
right. Oh, yeah. But what's interesting is, so in a way, he's undercut that business, and in doing so, he's also undercut the economic basis, the economic foundation for these newspapers. And then guess who comes in to save the newspaper? In a weird sort of way, he's getting it coming and going. He undercuts them economically, and then he, this sort of rich eccentric, it's a sort of form of noblesse oblige. Well, he's able to kind of lord it over us, and we become less and less sort of self-reliant in these ways. It's an interesting thing if you think about it.
The iceberg. Don't count out the iceberg.
Right.
I love it. He's odd looking too.
There should be more weird looking people in positions.
I mean, he just looks sort of like his brain's going all the time. He just looks like this wiry, brainy who doesn't sleep much.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Probably true. Jeez. So, I see you're looking. I do. Apparently.
Yes. It's time for a break.
My guest thinks that I should take a break. And I shall.
Email your questions and comments to Lynn at pghcitypaper.com or call Lynn at 412-316-3381. Lynn Cullen Live will return in a moment.
This week's Pittsburgh City Paper is available now. Pick up one today for a look at the preview of Davon Magwood's homecoming show. Plus, The Black Crows, The Street Party at Southside Works, Crash Kings, and News of the Weird. Pittsburgh City Paper available at over 1,700 locations throughout Western Pennsylvania and on the web at pghcitypaper.com and on your smartphone with GPS-enabled listings at citypapermobile.com.
I don't believe it. My savings are gone.
Okay, think. Where'd you have them last?
I was home, then I spent them on that vacation in this tiny suit of armor. Now they're gone.
Weird.
Weird? Not really. Not saving now means no money later. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1,000,000. For free ideas on ways to save, go to feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org.
Oh, I broke his little gauntlet.
Oh no.
This message brought to you by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants and the Ad Council.
Now, it's back to Lynn Cullen Live at pghcitypaper.com.
Okie doke. So, I was just complaining about there being no news, and
I looked at her shocked.
Yes, the editor of Pittsburgh City Paper said,
No
"What?
news.
No news?
What say you, woman?
What about the escalating ad war between UPMC and
Highmark?
It's not really Highmark,
No,
is
I'm
it?
still. You know what? I still call it
Allegheny
this Health Network.
Yeah. AHN. So anyway, yes. Something else I did want to ask you about that. I noted that UPMC lost a round in federal court the other day. Mm-hmm. They had attempted, when the city sued them for not being a charity and wanting some money from them as a consequence, some property taxes, they filed that in Commonwealth Court. UPMC's big lawyers immediately went in and tried to get it
moved to federal court,
where their chances of prevailing would be much heightened, I believe.
Yeah, they thought
You're not going to disagree. That's the way they were reading it. So anyway, the federal judge just threw it out, said it has nothing to do with us. It has to do with state law.
Right.
And
what they were looking for, and this is one of those things where sometimes when you read a lawsuit, things make sense legally, but when you try to translate them into the real world, they become ridiculous. And what UPMC was trying to do is to suggest that the city had violated their 14th Amendment rights, their due process rights, which is we're all entitled to due process of law. And so if a local official or a police officer or whatever singles you out for some special treatment, or some special punishment or whatever, that your federal rights have been violated. So essentially it was a defensive thing to kind of preempt this whole case and just get it tossed out, and under the argument that the city, by not going through the usual process that it goes through when it challenges people's tax bills, had violated their rights. And so that got chucked out, because I think the judge saw it for what it was, as a way of trying to forestall what is a legitimate question about its tax tax status.
So that was one good one for our side. On the other hand, I read a story, maybe it was in the PG, I don't know, where they were talking to people who are experts in advertising by hospitals or in health insurance. Yeah. And the guy was just blown away.
Yeah, right.
Obviously, they sent him tapes of like what we're being treated to, these wars between these two behemoths. And he said, He said, I've never seen anything like this. And that this can't be good. This is not good for
anyone.
Either entity. It is not good for the community.
Right.
And we could have, we all know that.
Right.
When these two big giants start, like pummeling each other, nobody wins. They're both hurt. The community they supposedly serve hurt. A lot of people getting very nervous and upset. All you have to do is read the letters to the editor.
Yeah.
I don't see how UPMC can't see they need to put the brakes on, that every step they take seems to make them more hated.
Yeah.
Or do they not care? That's not part of you don't think that's part of what they should concern themselves with?
I think that somebody should do, some group psychologists or whatever should do their doctoral research on how that board and its executive leadership interact. I do think that they're pretty sincere about, what they believe. And in a way, they're not wrong. Look, when UPMC says, as they do, that Highmark wants to take 41,000 of our patients and move them over to its hospitals, that is true. And it's not a really complicated thing. We know that West Penn Allegheny Health System has been suffering, and one way hospitals get more money is by having more patients. And those patients have to come from somewhere, and a large chunk of them are going to come from UPMC. So that is happening. Where they're kind of going off the rails, I think, is on the one hand, there's a real paradox about all this, which is on the one hand, all these guys kind of act like you and I have the choice, just a free choice, who we pick for our insurer. You know what I mean? Like, okay, well, I'm not going to take Highmark.
No choice.
And yet, at the same time, so on the one hand, they say that, but on the other hand, they say, well, Highmark's going to lure you in with its false promises, and then you'll find out that you can't go to UPMC. Well, look, if that happens, I'll be upset, but wouldn't I, as this free agent who's able to shop for who I want, wouldn't I just go and pick UPMC next time around? Why isn't that the market solution? Instead of what UPMC is doing, which is saying, well, Highmark is going to kick you guys out of our hospitals in 2015, so to help you all out, we're going to kick you out in 2014. You know what I mean? That's the thing, and I think people just can't get their heads around it. They are talking about, what they're talking about is a very realistic scenario. And and what Highmark is very likely to do is to do what's called tiering, and sometimes called tiering and steering, which is, yes, you offer people the access to UPMC, but they have to pay more for it if that's what their plan is. And, and so it's a way of directing patients to other facilities. And it is true that some people, it wouldn't surprise me if some people are surprised down the road, because who really pays that much attention to all the fine print of their insurance? But come on, it's this weird thing of they're trying to have it both ways, of saying, on the one hand, you need to be a responsible consumer and know what you're doing, but apparently our ability to decide for ourselves ends exactly at 2014 because they want to make the choice for us.
And if it appears to you that the tenor of these ads is remarkably similar to ugly political ads and negative political ads, there's a reason for that, too, because both these behemoths have turned to Republican ad firms.
Right.
Guys who otherwise are putting out this crap for the likes of Santorum and Kasich and
it's Rothfuss.
And
Rothfuss for UPMC.
Rothfuss, that's right. So they're both using these conservative Republican ad guys now to do what they do so well.
Fear.
Which is scaring the shit out of people and making people angry.
Right. Funny sidelight to that, incidentally. So UPMC's firm is based in Ohio. I don't know if people have seen the diner ad.
I talked about that. I used your blog to tell them.
Good, yeah.
And the reason the diner ad that UPMC put out, upon close scrutiny by the gentleman to my left here, where he took a magnifying glass to the things that were on the wall behind the diners. to ask her, what's that? What's that? That doesn't look like Pittsburgh. And in fact, ascertained this was a Columbus, Ohio diner.
Tommy's.
It's
a nice
and
place.
the reason being that they use that diner is UPMC is using these Republican operatives who are based in Ohio.
Right.
So that's what they know.
Conversely, I mean, if you're going to, I said this in today's edition, I mean, if you're the kind of healthcare operation that's opening up an oncology center in Kazakhstan, maybe a commercial in Columbus isn't that big of a stretch for you, right? I mean,
and there's all that, too. I mean, people say, wait a minute. So you're so rich, and we see so much of where your money goes. We see this. We see it in these ads.
Right.
This is what, for Highmark, I would ask, this is what my premiums are paying? This is why my premiums go up? And for UPMC, so you're a charity. And yet, you can afford the priciest commercials.
Right.
You can have movie stars do your voiceovers. You can pull out all the stops. You can do charity. We see your charity work in Kazakhstan.
Well, the funny thing is they claim that they make money on those operations, that their international operations as a whole make money, and that they bring that money back here to Pittsburgh to spend it on little old us. So, I don't know. I myself remain a little wary of that claim. In part because I've looked at financial statements, and it's a little tough. The way they structure financial statements. It's not just UPMC. Any of these guys can do it. It's sometimes they're structured in such a way as to not really necessarily tell you what you'd like to know, and they tend to lump in together their international and commercial operations because they have for-profit subsidiaries, and those showed a loss the last year that I looked at.
Explain this to me.
Yeah.
Okay, so UPMC is by law a charity. And because it's a charity, it has a lot of employees.
No, it has none.
No, it has a lot of employees that do what charitable employees would do. They go begging.
Yeah.
Right? They need to. You're a charity. You got to raise money. That would be a hard job now.
Yeah,
would
I
it
would think
not?
so. Yeah.
How do you? I don't even understand how they can still get by with the children's hospital. Right. The only way they can still do it with children's is because who's going to say no to a sick child?
Well, also Children's is somewhat an exception to the rule because Children's was financed in part with an agreement with Highmark. So Children's is one of the facilities that actually would not be affected.
Really?
Would not be affected by this. Yeah. Some things have changed. I mean. The other thing that's different, too, this time is some of the rural hospitals out in Bedford or Erie, and this was a big concern the last time these guys fought, is, okay, great, so you're going to go do this thing so Highmark and its hospitals can compete with UPMC and its hospitals. That works fine for Pittsburgh, where these Highmark hospitals actually are, but if I'm in Bedford, all I got is a UPMC hospital.
Right,
so what do I do? And there were county officials out there who were very concerned about it, and I think part of the dynamic last time around was you didn't just have people, representatives in Pittsburgh upset about it in Harrisburg. You also had a lot of rural Republicans. And I think that kind of led to some pressure to really address this situation. We'll see now, because what's happened is UPMC has said, no, we will continue to accept Highmark insurance at those rural hospitals. And it'll be interesting to see if that changes kind of the political weight, political balance. We'll see. What I can say, and I don't think what's been reported elsewhere other than our blog, is that Dan Frankel, who's sort of been a thorn in UPMC's side, God bless him, for some time, has joined with Jim Christiana, who's a Beaver County Republican, and what they're looking for sponsors for a bill they plan to introduce next month that will say, if you are an integrated delivery network, which is UPMC, you basically have to sign a contract. You have to contract with any willing insurer. Period. End of story. And if you guys can't come to terms, you're going to go into mandatory arbitration, and we're going to come up with a contract for you.
What are the odds of something like that passing?
Well,
maybe
I don't know. I mean, maybe a little better than you think. I mean, the fact that you do have a rural Republican joining with Frankel on this, and he
Frankel,
won't be the only one.
By the way, a Democrat from
Squirrel Hill, and he won't be the only one. Last time around, there was a sort of similar bill that was originally sponsored by Randy Vlahovic, who was in the House. Again, suburban Republican from Shaler. He's now moved up into the Senate to take Gianori's seat. So you may see some movement here, and it'll be interesting. There's definitely a chance. The fact that you've got some Republicans right out from the gate, we'll really know when it finally gets a number attached to it, because then we'll see how many co-sponsors there are. And if you see dozens of co-sponsors from both parties, it could be real.
Speaking of the way a legislative group works or not, do you know how many bills were passed by this current Congress in the last session?
Not a whole lot would be my guess. 5?
Oh, no. See, you're not giving them any credit at all.
How many? Now, do these include like post office namings?
No, they of course are
okay.
post office.
Okay. Well, then I don't know.
15.
15, yeah.
Okay. Let me just to give you a sense of how horrific this is. The 84th Congress, this is in the 50s, 1,028. 15.
Yeah.
Last year's Do-Nothing Congress, the Congress that first was given those ratings, where they were more unpopular than the bubonic plague.
Yeah, than Ebola. Yeah. Right.
That Congress passed 238 bills. 15.
Yeah.
Now, if you run for Congress, the job would be what? The job would be legislating. That's you are what? It's about bills.
No, it's not.
Oh, what is it about?
For the people who are the issue here, the job isn't legislating. The job is stopping the expansion of big government and sticking it to those liberals who are trying to take your freedoms away.
Okay. So
15 is probably a good number for those people, because they want government to do nothing.
Well, let me tell you, they are radicals.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm not disagreeing.
And the American people are not.
Yeah. Right.
The American people have never been particularly radical, except maybe at our founding.
Even then, if you go back. I mean, the historians will tell you that
a lot of people were
1/3 of Americans were actually supportive of the crown, and 1/3 really didn't want to have anything to do with any of it.
Yeah.
So the third that were supportive of the crown, a lot of them just moved up to Canada, and
So I got to tell you this. I mean, we have now there's little doubt, anybody looking can see it, we have a Congress that has been taken over by a small group using what power they have to literally prevent the functioning of the Congress.
Yes.
But it's true. This is true. So the Founding Fathers did establish this three-headed system, did it not?
Yes,
and nothing can quite work if one or some of the systems aren't functional. These guys, at what point does their actions become... I think they're dangerous.
They're inactions.
They're dangerous.
Well, the one thing that's changed...
Even treasonous.
Oh, dear. Look, these folks actually, they think they're doing something good by not doing anything at all. They are preventing the expansion of big government. I don't need you to give me their hoopla. No. Here's the flip side of that, though. The other thing that's changed since our Founding Fathers... when the American government was established, the idea was that Congress was supposed to do most of the stuff and the executive branch was going to be not very powerful. We are obviously in the opposite state right now. So what you're seeing is a lot of stuff, the Obama administration doing things, on carbon and stuff like that. But it can't really. Yeah, but it does. Put it this way: we haven't had a declaration of war since 1945. Has that made us more peaceful people since then? Certainly not. Go ahead, caller.
Hey, Chris. Hey, Lynn.
Hey,
how are you?
sorry.
It's a relatively nice morning with temperate weather. The Republican Party is stuck in a narrative, and they can't seem to break free of that narrative. you're correct. The radicals are driving the party, and they're doing it to the GOP's own detriment at this point. But the conservatives can't seem to free themselves from that. Part of the problem is that the most committed portion of the base are true believers, and in 2010 they elected a hardcore bunch of true believers of the Congress, and then also many of them are just cynical, and they're using the true believers to further their own aims, even to the detriment of the country and the Congress. And the reason I say it's a narrative that they can't break free of is because of recent examples. The first is the massive expectation that Mitt Romney was going to win the presidency, despite all the evidence to the contrary.
Well, when you're living in an alternative universe, you get surprised like that every once in a while, blindsided when reality intrudes.
And then another just striking example I'll give of the narrative that they can't break free of is the Reza Aslan interview with Laura Green on Fox.
Right.
She clearly had some idea of how it was supposed to proceed.
Right.
And when Professor Aslan didn't respond as expected, she simply stayed on script.
Right.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
That was a great interview.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So we've got they're lost. They are just lost. They have no counter narrative. They have nothing positive to offer. They are really they're negative, they're fear mongers, they're trying to terrify people. Ronald Reagan, who they love so much, how did he win? Morning in America, sunny, disposition, everything's fine, we're on top of things. If the Republicans should have learned one thing from him, you don't win national elections by depressing and angering and frightening the population.
You may not win a national.
You win congressional elections.
Yeah, but that's all that's on the table now.
Okay, fine.
They may take back the Senate.
Okay, so that's right. So we are going to have a totally dysfunctional government.
Yeah.
We are going to have, because of their gerrymandering, we'll have Republicans controlling the Congress, where nothing will happen. You will have a Democrat always as the president.
Yeah, maybe.
Now, that means that eventually the Supreme Court's going to be appointed by, but you'll have to get them through the Congress. This is like a death wish.
Yeah.
This is why I say, I said treasonous, but the fact is if there's a threat to our country, I see this as a legitimate threat to our country's governance as we have known it.
Yeah. But they don't want governance as we have known it.
Well,
they have a better vision.
Okay. Go ahead, caller. Go ahead. Caller.
This is Les Ludwig, a political candidate for mayor.
Really?
I'm independent.
Hi.
And where's my ad?
I guess it isn't running yet, Les.
I'm sorry?
It's not running yet. It'll run.
Today?
Oh, I don't know. It's not on for today. When is it starting?
Oh, it was I was told by Andrea that it would be on today.
No, we don't have it in our... But you got to talk to whoever salesperson you're dealing with. Listen, Les, you got more attention today than your ad would have gotten you.
Is that what you call that?
That was what it was.
All right. Okay, babe.
Hey, good luck.
Thank you.
Bye. That was Les Ludwig.
Yep, it was.
He wanted to know where his ad was.
He did want to know where his ad was. You didn't have a very good answer either.
I didn't? If it ain't on the log, I have nothing to do with it. I would never have even known if I hadn't bumped into the guy in the elevator. I really would have been flummoxed.
Yeah.
Hey, this is Lex Luthor, and I want to know where my ad is.
I would have been scared. I would have called security. Okay, we got to take a break.
More is on the way with Lynn Cullen Live.
Go to bergbargains.com for great deals on gift cards from your favorite local restaurants, bars, museums, attractions, and shows. This week, great deals on gift cards to Seba, Cadillac Ranch, and Crazy Mocha. Supplies are limited. Bergbargains.com, Pittsburgh's best bargains. Bergbargains.com.
The traditional light bulb, a groundbreaking invention in 1879. It's time we switch to longer-lasting Energy Star light bulbs. They're more efficient than the old bulbs, like a text message is more efficient than a carrier pigeon. And they cut down on our energy costs. Because in our own groundbreaking age, we deserve a light bulb that saves us some cash. Saving energy saves you money. Learn more at EnergySavers.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Energy and the Ad Council.
Have a question or an opinion? Call Lynn Cullen at 412-316-3381 or email lynn at pghcitypaper.com. Now, more with Lynn Cullen Live.
All right, we are back. And Ray has written, on my way to Amsterdam, can I bring anything home for you guys?
Maybe for Lynn.
Well, actually, Ray, you can get it here, too. Have fun. I love that city. It's a great city.
Yeah, I've never been.
Just be careful you don't get run over by a bicycle. I'm telling you, the bikers there, the cyclists, they have won.
Yeah, good for them.
Yeah, they have won. Well, yeah, but it's still not easy to be a pedestrian. That's all I'm saying. Safe travels. All right, I have here something from John Fugelsang. Never heard of him.
No.
Me either. This is something we've all thought, but he seems to sum it up pretty well.
Got it.
Hang in there.
All right.
I'm not a huge fan of the term pro-life, because only in America can you be pro-death penalty, pro-torture, pro-preemptive war against countries that haven't attacked us, pro-totally unregulated way easy access to guns for anybody, pro-drone bombs, pro-land mines, and still call yourself pro-life.
Right.
Did he sort of sum up Republicans there?
So. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah.
Oh, dear Lord. Hey, your paper came out today. Is there anything of note? I hate to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time even remembering. I was so sleep deprived when it went out the door.
There it is.
There it is. Yeah, we've actually got a story mentioned on the air a few minutes ago. Davon Magwood, the stand-up comedy guy. Those things are cash, gold in the bank, baby.
I hate these sticker things they stick on your newspapers, and they're always stuck over something you want to see. So you got to peel them off. They drive me crazy.
Right. So this is a Pittsburgh-based stand-up comedian, although he's been on national tour essentially, who ran afoul of the Westboro Baptist Church. Those
fine Christians
who show up at like veterans' funerals and say that he got what's coming. And so, right.
Yeah.
He basically ran afoul by them by tweeting after some tornadoes struck Oklahoma, which is where Westboro Church is actually based originally, saying, if that church just went away, I'm sure the tornadoes would stop, essentially turning back the right-wing thing onto the church. And that tweet was responded to by the Westboro Baptist Church's Twitter account, which was, essentially, may a rain of pestilence fall on Pittsburgh for your outrages, and we are coming to protest your show, which
bring it on.
Frankly, it seems a little like maybe they're not gonna, put their feet where their tweets were.
They are such jerks.
So that's our story. I've got a piece about police residency in there, which I can tell by the look on your face you don't want to talk about.
That was a look left over from, I think, something else you had said. I hadn't really responded to that yet.
We got a total phone
Anyway,
call.
I'm for it. Police residency.
Oh,
Hello.
really? Okay.
How you doing?
Fine.
Hi.
Hey, I'll make this brief. Isn't there something Obama can do when this debt ceiling argument comes up again? something that he can just pass it through and screw all the other assholes that are in there. I mean, we have to go through that shit again come fall. I mean, come on, people.
Yes! It's brought to you by your fellow Americans who keep sending these Tea Party types to the Congress. Yes. Thank your fellow Americans. And there's nothing he can do. Because our founding fathers gave Congress the money.
Yeah. I mean, this to me, like you said, it's treason. I mean, my God. I don't know.
Let's round him up and shoot him.
Jesus.
There you go.
We'll hang him from the highest trees, right?
Exactly.
All right, good.
Okay, thank you.
We agree on something. Thank you. Goodbye.
Well, now, Lynn, violence is never the solution.
Oh. And this is why, at the end of the show, someone intones the... What do they say?
The viewpoints expressed.
The viewpoints expressed on the program.
I'm still sitting here.
I always think that's interesting. Why, we don't have that disclosure on our paper, but I can tell you for a stone cold fact, a lot of the stuff I say are not the opinions of my publisher.
That's true, too.
Why do they always do that on talk radio, but not on other things?
I don't know. That's a good question. Thank you. Hello. Hi.
Hello.
Hi, caller. Go ahead.
Hello, Lynn.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Lynn, Chris.
Yeah.
I was at the library yesterday, and I saw a book that you guys would... I thought about you guys right away. The book's called Assholes, a Theory by Aaron James. And the book is fantastic. It talks about assholes, assholishness. You can be an... You guys are not assholes.
Oh, okay,
if you read the book, you're not assholes. But the people we're talking about, like Ann Coulter, he talks about all these people who are assholes.
Absolutely assholes.
Okay, and the book is my wife. I gave it to my wife last night, and she was freaking out. She was like, "Oh my God, this is insane."
Who wrote it?
The guy is named Aaron James.
Huh.
He's a PhD from
in what?
In Harvard. He's a sociologist, I believe. And
I got to tell you, that book is too easy to write. You know what I mean?
No, I think we should get him on the air. You should have him on as a guest. I bet he'd be interested.
We are sated with assholes in this. Okay, I'll get him on the air.
You should.
If you could, his name is Aaron James, and the book's called Assholes, a Theory.
Okay, Jess is on it.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think you'll love him. You didn't hear from him, but the book's great.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for the call,
Lynn. Thanks, Chris.
Bye. Okay.
Been on this show for how many years, and people still can't remember my name.
I didn't know. I thought he was having trouble with his...
No, he was my name, I could tell. It's not easy basking in your glory.
Don't take it too
I was like a candle in the sun over here. I just outshone.
Candle in the wind.
No, it's the idea is you hold a candle up to the sun, and the sun outshines it. See, so...
Oh.
Yeah. It's like a compliment.
Candle in the sun.
Yeah, just whatever.
Ansel writes, Lynn, Harry Reid missed a few chances now to change the Senate rules. Yeah, tell me about that. By the way, ship him out, too, regarding the filibuster and majority voting. If that opportunity ever surfaces again, he needs to get his head out of the 60s and make that change. And I, too, see the inaction of the House, specifically the Tea Party members, to be not only treasonous, but I would call it terrorism. P.S. UPMC reminds me of the Tea Party. They remind me of, the ogre sitting under the bridge. I mean, they're just like this huge thing that, that terrorizes your entire town. I hate them.
I don't know. I mean, you think Harry Reid, you think he should really go with majority voting if he figures that the Senate is going to be out
No,
of his
see, that's
hands?
his problem, because if the Republicans then have the Senate, all that the Democrat...
Although, I go back and forth on that myself, because then I also think, well, this is... Whoever's in charge, this is BS, and it's just a way for...
Right.
Maybe we need to have, the torrent unleashed upon us so we start taking seriously who is getting elected.
You know what I would like? Let's resurrect. Wouldn't you like to see call them down from heaven? Jefferson and Adams and all of them, and let them see what has happened to the institutions that they created, and give those guys about a day. Give them a day to change it.
Yeah, who knows what they'd think, really, though. You know what I mean?
I know, but who you think they'd be happy to see it?
I don't know what they'd think.
Oh, for
the part I'd look forward to would be like Jefferson saying to Scalia, "That's not what I had in mind at all." Just like take this whole like original intentionalist and just jam it up sideways. What are you talking about? That's not what I meant. No, you've got it all wrong.
Wrong. Jeez. And you're supposed to be smart? Where are they educating you people? Oh, wouldn't that be something? No, in my dreams, always in my dreams. Well, ain't gonna happen. So I don't know. We made the mess.
Yeah.
But I don't see any real major efforts to clean it up.
Well, eventually they'll just all pass into history. I mean,
I'm
as
waiting
we always
for,
say,
listen,
these folks are, and I think that's why it's the party of fear now.
I'm waiting for
a party of old people's.
I'm waiting for a lot of people to die.
Yeah,
I am.
It's a party
I keep
of old
saying, can
people's
we
fear.
just speed it up? And speaking of this, there's a stuff where they're saying, "Oh, we could live to be 120." No. This is a Republican plot.
To make us live longer.
Yeah, so they can hang on to some power for a while.
Only in southern states, though.
Dear Lord.
And they want to up the voting age to 40. So.
Oh, God. Heaven help us. All right.
Why don't people want to live to 120? I saw the headline, so why do they just figure it'll be like...
Most people don't. They say that it seems like that would be wrong. And I think they're right.
Well, I mean, I think that if it depended on what living to 120 would mean. Would it mean being 40 more years of being 80? Because, like, I could see not being into that, for example.
Well, wait till you're 79.
Well, yeah, right. No, but they're asking people who aren't. I'm saying, if you think about kind of the decrepitude of being 80, but if it meant that your middle age would last into 80 or something.
Okay, Pew survey, 63% say medical advances that prolong life are generally good because they allow people to live longer.
Wow.
That wasn't meant to be a laugh.
No, it's just, what else would they be? What else would be the effect of medical technology that makes you live longer?
Excuse me, but 32% say medical advances are bad because they interfere with the natural cycle of life.
It's even stupider.
I think they got that from The Lion King. The circle of
life. Well,
life.
for that matter, then don't...
Just more than half, 54% believe medical treatments these days are worth the cost.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that is bullshit. While 41% say these treatments often create as many problems as they solve.
Jeez. There's some really downbeat Americans.
These are your fellow Americans.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say. When asked about potential medical treatments that would slow aging and extend life, possibly to 120 years, respondents weren't convinced. 56% said they would not want such treatment. Well, this is stupid because you don't
everybody's
know.
going to say
Am
it in
I
the abstract.
120 and blah, 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 blah.
I like this idea, though, that...
Now, what everybody said is what they really would is they'd be happy if they lived, most Americans said if they made it to 79, they said 79 to 90. That's the age when they think it's perfectly reasonable to drop dead. Which I hate to tell my mom because she'll be 91 on Sunday.
Right.
But,
well, happy birthday to her.
Yeah.
I mean, I like this idea that we shouldn't do things because medical treatments that interfere with the natural cycle. It's like, did you get inoculated against polio?
Yeah, right. Did you have a?
I guess we should have just let smallpox go because hey,
man, when I think of all the medical interference that's kept my body upright,
yeah,
I'm so grateful.
People don't know this, but Lynn's half cyborg.
Yeah. and that's the half that sort of functions. Man, you gotta, want to tip my hat to medical science. Most of which, by the way, I have received not at UPMC.
And yet you're still here with us.
I'm alive! live.
So are you that woman who's on the phone? Well, I've always gone to UPMC Pass event.
No. God.
Why are you trying to push me somewhere else?
I always do everything I can to avoid UPMC. I don't want them getting 1 red cent. Now, on occasion, I will end up at a UP. It's hard not to on occasion.
Right, exactly, yeah.
But I avoid them like the plague. And look at me. Have I ever been in finer fettle?
Sokolowski tomorrow?
I guess so. You know.
We came through this okay today.
We did.
I was a little worried.
Very much. I've been worried because I'm off. You know, there are cycles.
Yeah,
in life,
sure.
And I'm not doing well this week. And I've been apologizing at the end of every show.
Okay.
I think I'm really sorry. I'll try to get my act together.
Bye-bye.
It's August.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper, Steel City Media, and its advertisers.